This video is going to demonstrate using ACM for failover and Scribe for data replication. Starting out, you will see we have one cluster managed by ACM. We will add a second cluster which will also be managed by ACM. Then we will configure Scribe to replicate the data, and finally we will fail the primary cluster. A primary cluster is defined with the labels site primary, purpose, docuwiki. You will see a cluster named local cluster. This is the default name of the ACM hub cluster. The Scribe operator is automatically installed on all clusters. The docuwiki application is configured to only run on one healthy OpenShift cluster at a time. Here is our docuwiki site with a simple hello message. We now need to deploy a failover cluster. We applied labels site, failover, and purpose docuwiki. This will add the cluster to the available clusters for our docuwiki application. The failover site will be using GP2 as its storage class, whereas the primary site will be using OCS. Scribe has also been deployed to the new cluster. We can now begin the process of defining the replication source and destination objects. First, the replication destination is created. For our example, we will choose to deploy a load balancer, use the copy method snapshot, which will create a volume snapshot at the destination. We will use GP2 CSI for both the volume snapshots and storage class. We can now create the replication source object. We chose to trigger replication every 2 minutes of our docuwiki PVC. The primary cluster has multiple volume snapshot classes available, but we will choose RBD. A pod is created which is used to transfer the persistent data through the load balancer that was created by the replication destination. This is then routed to the replication destination pod. Here is the full replication flow as it's defined in ACM. Data will come out of the primary cluster and connect to the load balancer, where the persistent data from the primary cluster will be written to a volume snapshot. The replication objects are managed in ACM by an application named Replication. At our wiki, we will change the post, which will allow the new data to be replicated. We will now power off our primary cluster, which will trigger docuwiki application to be redeployed to our failover cluster. We will see within ACM that the primary cluster is offline and the application has now been deployed to the failover site. Refreshing the page, you will see the site is still available. This is because Scribe replicated the data from the primary to a volume snapshot, which was used to create our PVC.